Arin's heart pounded as he ran through the twisting alleys of Embercrest. The sky, once a brilliant azure, was now a swirling mass of storm clouds, casting unnatural shadows across the land. The Guardians of Seasons had always ensured balance in Solstiria, but now, with one of them missing, chaos reigned. Winter's icy breath swept through the summer streets, turning the cobblestones into slick, treacherous paths. The apprentice knew he was breaking curfew, but the scroll, a fragile piece of parchment etched with a prophecy, burned in his hand. He skidded to a halt beneath the looming archway of the ancient library, its doors barely visible in the dim light. Panting, he pressed his back against the cold stone wall, eyes darting around for signs of pursuit. The guards, loyal to the seasonal order, would not take kindly to theft from the archives. "All right, Arin, think," he murmured to himself, scanning the cryptic symbols on the scroll. It spoke of a lost season, a fifth guardian, hidden away when the world was young. Some dismissed it as myth, a story told to children huddled by the fire. Yet as Solstiria's skies grew more unnatural by the day, the lines between myth and reality blurred. A rustle from behind shattered his concentration. Arin spun, staff raised defensively, only to be faced with the figure of Kale, the sylvan warrior. Her emerald eyes glinted, as fierce as the enchanted forest she called home. "You're late," she said, crossing her arms, the very air around her tinged with the scent of pine and earth. Arin relaxed, lowering his staff. "I had to make sure no one followed," he explained, holding up the scroll. "This might be our only chance to set things right." Kale nodded, understanding the gravity of their task. "And what about the others?" "Solon's securing supplies, and Elda?" "Well, she's making her grand entrance as usual," Arin replied. Almost on cue, a flash of light erupted from the library's grand terrace, and Elda appeared, her fiery hair aglow with her signature magic. "Couldn't let you start this adventure without some sparks," she quipped, stepping down to join them. Together, they were Solstiria's best hope. They had to be. As Arin unfurled the map depicting paths long forgotten, he knew their journey would demand every ounce of courage they possessed. Facing legendary creatures and the raw elements themselves, they would unearth the guardian of the lost season, or watch their world spiral into endless chaos. The time had come to bring balance back to Solstiria, one perilous step at a time. The heart of the enchanted forest echoed with the whispers of the ancient trees. Arin, Kale, and Elda trudged carefully down the narrow path, their footsteps silenced by the thick carpet of moss below. Tall, twisted roots arched over their heads, forming a canopy that filtered the weak sunlight into 1,000 shades of green. "This place is always so restless," Elda muttered, the crackling fire of her magic casting flickering shadows among the leaves. Kale's fingers brushed the rough bark of a nearby tree, her connection to the land palpable. "The forest knows we are here. The spirits are watchful." As if in answer, a gentle breeze rustled through, bringing with it the faint echo of laughter. It was ethereal, almost playful, yet edged with a hint of malice. The sense of being followed gnawed at the edges of Arin's awareness. "We should keep moving," Arin urged, tightening his grip around the staff. Despite the thickness of the trees, the unnatural winter had reached even here, thin tendrils of frost clawing at the leaves. The map pointed towards an ancient stone circle, a place of power rumored to lie within the forest's depths. It hinted at a secret passage, once used by the Guardians themselves. As the day waned, a faint glow ahead marked their destination. The circle stood, imposing and eternal, its stones emanating a soft luminescence. Kale was the first to approach, her warrior instincts alert. "These stones have seen more than we can imagine. To them, we are but passing echoes." Elda's fingers were itching with curiosity, sparks dancing at her fingertips as she examined the inscriptions that covered the rough surfaces. "It's some sort of riddle," she mused, tracing the symbols. Arin stepped forward to join her, and the symbols seemed to shift under his gaze, forming words he could comprehend. "Only when fire embraces the earth and water sings to the winds shall the path to unity be unveiled," he read aloud, his voice echoing softly. Understanding dawned, and Elda's eyes met Arin's, an expression of determination shared between them. "Together, then," she declared. The trio arranged themselves among the stones. Elda at the north, Kale at the south, and Arin, staff raised, took his place at the circle's heart. As Elda unleashed an arc of flame, Kale summoned the whispers of ancient winds to swirl them in tandem. Arin, focus unwavering, chanted softly, weaving their elemental powers in a harmonious fusion. The ground beneath them trembled, and a low humming resonated through the stones, vibrating with potential energy. The air was thick with power, as the riddle's requirement came to life. Gradually, a narrow passageway emerged at the circle's center, descending steeply into shadow. Kale examined the opening, brow furrowed. We may not know what awaits us, but we cannot turn back. Arin nodded, his resolve firm. Then we face it together. With a deep breath, they descended into the darkness, the whisper of the elements guiding their path, as Solstiria's fate hung uncertainly in the balance. The descent through the tunnel felt unending, the chill in the air growing sharper with every step. The passage twisted and turned, a serpentine path leading deeper into Solstiria's hidden heart. The scant light dwindled, shadows dancing eerily across the stone walls. Elda conjured a flickering ball of flame that hovered above them, casting a warm glow as they continued onward. I'm starting to think our map is partly guesswork, she quipped, trying to lighten the oppressive mood. Kale's sharp gaze pierced the darkness ahead. Maps of legend often become puzzles themselves. We must tread with a warrior's caution and a scholar's eye. Arin stayed quiet, focusing instead on the subtle pulse of magic that seemed to reverberate through the walls themselves. His senses were heightened, attuned to the changes around them, as if expecting the stones to murmur their secrets. Suddenly, the tunnel widened, opening into a massive chamber. Its domed ceiling was draped in luminescent crystals that shimmered in hues of blue and silver, casting a ghostly luminescence over the space. At the center, a great pool of clear water lay still and undisturbed, its surface like polished glass. This must be the Chamber of Silence, Arin whispered in awe, words vanishing into the cavern's vast silence. But why is it silent? Elda asked, her voice barely above a breath, as if to speak louder would break some sacred rule. Arin moved closer to the pool, feeling an inexplicable attraction. As he knelt by its edge, an image began to coalesce on the pool's surface, a vision of the four guardians, each imbued with elemental splendor, standing together. Yet, one guardian was blurred, indistinct. It's trying to show us something, Arin said, gesturing for the others to join him. As they watched, the image shifted to a scene of ruin. Forests entangled with snow, fiery storms raging against barren landscapes, rivers frozen in the midst of their flow. The prophecy, Kale muttered, her voice stricken. It foretells of what's to come if we fail. This is a world without balance. Elda crouched beside them, her breath catching. Then we have to ensure it never happens. But how do we reveal the lost season? Without warning, the water erupted into vibrant color, a brilliant aurora of intertwining hues swirling upon its surface. It was a visual symphony, a dance of elements coalescing into a singular, iridescent form. Instinctively, Arin realized their combined elements were the key. The unity of their powers represented what the world itself needed. Together, he said softly, extending a hand to his companions. Kale took it first, her touch steady and sure, followed by Elda, a current of warmth bridging between them. The magic they channeled together was breathtaking, shimmering waves of energy that responded to their will. They felt the magic pulse outward, a heartbeat's rhythm now echoing through the ancient stones. Gradually, the blurred guardian in the vision sharpened, revealing a figure unlike the others, a being of pure light, woven of all elemental aspects brought into perfect harmony. The guardian of unity, Kale breathed, reverence in her voice. Understanding dawned upon Arin, a mixture of relief and hope. They had found the meaning of the lost season, the key to restoring equilibrium. Yet the path ahead remained fraught with danger. For where there is light, shadows linger, waiting to reclaim what had been unveiled. Resolved, they took a moment to strengthen their resolve, then turned back to the tunnel. Their journey through Solstiria was just beginning, and the trials ahead would neither relent nor wane. But together, they were more than just warriors and mages. They were hope incarnate, dedicated to rewriting fate with every step they took back into the light. Emerging from the Chamber of Silence, Arin, Kale, and Elda found themselves back beneath the forest's sprawling boughs. Their hearts, though burdened by Solstiria's fate, burned with newfound conviction and purpose. So, where to next? Elda asked, her fiery locks catching the remaining daylight as the sun threaded its way through the branches. Arin unrolled the map, the symbols once cryptic, now offering clearer guidance, paths only visible to those who truly understood the lore. The next destination is the Peak of Echoes. It's said that voices of the past guide the worthy to the truth. Kale cleared her throat, her brow furrowed. That's deep in the heart of the mountains. The terrain won't be kind. And neither will the inhabitants, Arin noted, recalling tales of rock trolls and enchanted guardians sworn to protect ancient secrets. Elda shrugged with a grin. Then it's a good thing we have our own magic, isn't it? Their resolve cemented, they began the arduous journey southward, the forest eventually giving way to rolling hills and jagged cliffs. The sun dipped low behind the horizon, painting the sky in hues of violet and gold. As they traveled, they shared stories to pass the time and forge bonds that would withstand the trials ahead. Kale's tales of sylvan warcraft and Elda's anecdotes of youthful mischief brought laughter, a rift in the otherwise ominous silence. It was near midnight when they reached the foothills of the mountain range. The air was crisp, each breath visible in the rapidly cooling night. From here, the path wound steeply upwards, a daunting staircase carved into the mountainside. As they began the climb, the wind howled, carrying with it indecipherable whispers, fragments of conversations lost to time. It was as if the mountain itself tested their worthiness. Hours passed, the ascent relentless, until they finally reached a flat ledge with a panoramic view of Solstiria's sprawling beauty. The stars shone with an intense brilliance, illuminating the landscape below. But the beauty was undercut by a tense stillness, like the calm before a storm. Arin glanced at his companions, eager to move forward but feeling the weight of expectation heavy on his shoulders. There, Elda pointed, her voice filled with awe. Her eyes were fixed on an ancient stone monolith standing at the mountain's peak, weathered by years uncounted but radiating authority. As they approached the monolith, the whispers grew louder, resolving into coherent words that resonated within Arin's soul, filling him with purpose. The past guides those who embrace it. Arin deciphered aloud. But to move forward, we must first acknowledge the echoes. The realization stirred within him a newfound understanding, glimpses of past failures and triumphs of those who came before, all leading to a single truth. It's not just our journey, Kale said quietly, eyes distant as if seeing those spirits who had once stood at this very peak. It's the journey of Solstiria, one chapter building upon another. With a nod, Arin placed his hand against the monolith. The stone was warm beneath his palm, vibrating with ancestral magic that coursed through his veins, offering strength and clarity. The map's path began to shift and shape anew, a route shining brightly, leading them toward the Storm Valley, a place where past battles against imbalance had been waged and won. Arin smiled, feeling pride in what they were becoming, a family bound not by blood but by purpose and destiny. With unspoken agreement, they turned towards the path ahead, the stars lighting their way, each taking a step forward into the next trial of their quest, into the shifting seasons, ready to face whatever may come. The journey from the Peak of Echoes led them into the tumultuous heart of Storm Valley. Known for its unpredictable weather and treacherous terrain, the valley was a natural fortress, both wondrous and fearsome. Arin, Kale, and Elda pushed forward, the map now a guide woven with clarity and urgency. The skies were unyielding, dark clouds constantly swirling above them, rumbling with threats of thunder and flashes of distant lightning. So this is where the elements dance to their own chaotic rhythm, Elda remarked, reluctantly stowing away her flames as the air thickened with moisture. Kale's eyes narrowed, ever vigilant. The Storm Valley is a crucible, a test of endurance and harmony. The Guardians once trained here, pitting themselves against nature's fiercest displays. I can see why, Arin said, bracing against a sudden gust that nearly pulled him off balance. His eyes scanned the horizon, looking for the entrance marked on the map, the Fissure of Trials, a cavern where the realm's raw energies converged. They traversed the valley cautiously, moving between jagged rocks and deep ravines that threatened unwary travelers. Bitter winds lashed against their faces, testing their resolve. As they neared the cavern, echoes of old legends reached their ears, the storms whispering tales of the ancient battles waged for Solstiria's future. Who knew echoes could be so loud? Elda quipped, her voice dripping with sarcasm, her bravery masking the vulnerability they all felt. They're reminders of what's come before, and what's to be done, Kale said, eyes gleaming with determination. At last they stood before the gaping maw of the Fissure of Trials, its jagged entrance looming ominously. Inside, flickers of elemental magic danced erratically across stone walls, casting eerie glows. Are we truly ready for what lies within? Arin asked, his voice carrying doubt but also resolve. Kale laid a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Ready or not, we've come this far. Together we face what comes. Stepping into the cavern, the oppressive might of the elements pressed inward, a living force challenging their presence. It was a test of will, each step heavy, the air buzzing with elemental tension. Deep within, they found themselves in a chamber where the floor was marked with ancient symbols, trials devised by the guardians themselves, built to test the mettle of those who dared seek the truth. The room suddenly sprang to life, as elements erupted in a tumultuous storm. Fire arced across the ceiling, earth rumbled beneath their feet, gusts of wind threatened to knock them over, while water cascaded in an endless stream. Instinctively, they fell to their individual talents. Kale called upon the forest's serenity, guiding the winds to calm. Elda harnessed her flames, merging them with the water to create steam, pulling the forces into a harmonious dance. Arin, meanwhile, focused on the symbols, his voice rising in a litany, transforming the chaos into symphony. Balance within, balance without. Unite, for it is unity that binds. As they synchronized their efforts, the tempest slowly subsided, leaving only glowing energy that bathed them in a warm light. They had passed their trial, forged stronger through the fires. With rejuvenated spirits, they prepared to exit, but not before noticing a pedestal rising at the room's center. Atop it, a shard of brilliant clarity, the elemental shard of unity, a gift from the past to aid them in their quest. Taking the shard, Arin felt its reassuring weight and nodded to his companions. The journey would be long and arduous, but now they had a piece of their needed harmony. As they left the cavern and stepped back into the valley, another trial behind them, Solstiria's seasons felt one step closer to returning to their rightful place. Onward they journeyed, the elemental shard of unity secured safely within Arin's satchel, a beacon of hope as they pressed north toward the shores of reflection. There, it was said, the ethereal waters could unveil truths hidden beneath layers of doubt. The terrain shifted once more, the harsh mountains giving way to open grasslands that rolled gently toward the horizon, a stark contrast to the chaos they had braved thus far. Yet, the respite was short-lived as new challenges lay ahead. As they traversed the open plains, their eyes caught the glint of water in the distance. The shores were a breathtaking sight, a vast expanse where land and sky melded into one, waters shimmering with otherworldly luminescence. This place is astounding, Elda said, breathless with wonder as she took in the view. Her eyes danced with the reflections of the gentle waves, sensing the calm power beneath. Kale nodded, her warrior's heart soothed by the tranquil beauty. It's a sanctuary, one that echoes with the wisdom of ages long past. They approached the water's edge, where smooth stones rested beneath a shallow tide. Arin could feel the air humming subtly as if with anticipation. This is where we seek what lies hidden, he mused. But the vision requires more than just presence to unveil its secrets. He glanced at the shard, understanding dawning within him. As he placed the shard carefully at the shore, the water responded immediately. Ripples spread outward in concentric circles, the surface shifting to reveal visions from Solstiria's rich tapestry. Past and future mingling in a dance of possibilities and paths yet taken. Figures appeared upon the reflective waters, both hauntingly familiar and strikingly foreign. Among them stood pale apparitions of the ancient guardians, their glances wise and burdensome. It is the weight of leadership, the balance of sacrifice and gain, Kale whispered, captivated by the ephemeral memories. The show of images was interrupted when the water began to darken. A different scene emerged, a shadowy figure, veiled and menacing, manipulating the elements with ominous precision, disrupting the harmony that bound Solstiria. Who or what is that? Elda murmured. Unease gripped her voice. Cold certainty settled in Arin's core. It's the adversary behind our unrest, the one seeking to tear the fabric of our seasons apart. an agent not of chaos, but of deliberate division. A decision crystallized amidst the realization: capture the opposition's scheme, confront them head-on before the disbalance swallows them whole. The elemental unity they had achieved would be their guide. "The Guardian of Unity tasked us with more than a journey," Kael asserted, a blade-like resolve steeled in her gaze. "We must confront this shadow to restore balance." Together they steered their path inland, following the vision's directive toward the deep heart of Solstiria, where the storm of conflict raged strongest. In solemn agreement, Arin, Elda, and Kael knew the road ahead was perilous. Yet they steeled themselves for the confrontation that awaited. The shadowy presence they had glimpsed was unrelenting. In tandem with the guiding vision of the shores, they knew what had to be done. Destinies intertwined, they quickened their pace, knowing each moment was crucial, each action consequential in the quest to reclaim their world's harmonious flow and confront the darkness threatening to unravel it. Their resolve forged and their course set, Arin, Kael, and Elda journeyed deeper into the heartlands, where the lands lay twisted under the influence of the unseen shadow. The air, thick with tension, was charged with anticipation of the impending confrontation. With every step, Solstiria's imbalance became more pronounced. The seasons bled into one another chaotically. Frigid air clashed with sweltering heat, and vibrant life struggled against endless frost. Arin couldn't ignore the urgency biting at his heels, urging haste. As they advanced, the path was fraught with obstacles, each more daunting than the last. The landscape morphed into a tableau of shifting dunes, veiling pitfalls and danger. Yet Elda's flames cast a guiding light, dispelling shadow and doubt alike. "I feel we're drawing near," Kael observed, ears perked to the slightest shifts in the element's whispers, far different from the enchanted forest's persistent rustle. "Near to victory or defeat, we can't say just yet," Elda countered, though her fire burned ever resolute. Hours stretched into days, the urgency of their mission propelling them forward. It was during one such day, beneath an overcast sky that felt alive with indignation, that they reached a barren ledge. It offered a view like no other, an expanse where nature's machinations warred endlessly. "There," Arin pointed, the shadowy figure from their vision in the shores of reflection now visible in the valley below. The figure stood tall, enveloped in a vortex of swirling energy, manipulating the discord with practiced ease. "What do you propose?" Kael asked, already gauging the terrain for any tactical advantage. Arin took a deep breath, drawing upon every lesson, every bond formed on the journey. "We face it together. United as the elements of past guardians were, we become a force unable to be divided." Elda grinned, her flames flickering brighter in alignment with his words. "I was hoping you'd say that." Strategizing briefly, they descended the ledge, each personal element flowing seamlessly into the plan. The land itself seemed to pulse with the heartbeat of life and death, resonating with each step they took. The adversary watched them approach, its features obscured by shadow but exuding a palpable presence. "So, you've come to play heroes?" A voice tainted with mockery reached them, reverberating within their minds and teeth. "Not heroes," Arin replied, steadfast. "Guardians, you've done enough harm." With that declaration, the battle commenced. Elda unleashed torrential fire, igniting the harsh winds into a whirlwind of scorching ferocity. Kael channeled the might of the forest, commanding the very earth to shield and assist them. Their combined power surged toward the figure. Arin could feel the shard within his satchel, an anchor, a tether, strengthening their resolve and focus. But the figure retaliated, calling forth elemental chaos to counter each of their attacks. It wielded darkness with an expert hand, tapping into fear and despair. Yet Arin, unflinching, advanced. His staff cut through the chaos, finding openings in the darkness defenses. Remembering the Elder's whispers, he wove their lessons into attacks, finding the rhythm within chaos. The figure faltered, momentarily thrown by such synergy and strength of conviction. The balance teetered precariously, a moment thematically surreal yet fleeting. Kael's gaze, lit with determination, met Arin's. It was the briefest of silences amid storm and chaos where their unspoken pledge to a united season became a glaring reality. In this crucible, they learned their limits and found them expanding. They were no longer separate elements facing an adversary, but a resolute force of unified purpose. And as they pushed forward, A glint of time-worn, opportunistic hope emerged. Maybe confronting the shadow was less reaching the end, more of becoming the beginning of true change. One where the seasons could flourish in harmony once more. The battle raged on, a maelstrom of elemental might and shadowy manipulation. With each strike, the valley quaked, tremors spreading outward as if echoing the celestial clash above. Arin, Elda, and Kale stood resolute, their bonds stronger than any division their adversary could sow. Despite the overwhelming chaos, the shard within Arin's satchel pulsed with potential, urging them onward. Empowered by unity, Elda unleashed an inferno, her flames a vibrant tapestry interwoven with Kale's summoned vines that danced and twisted like sentient beings, fortifying their defenses. "Together!" Arin called out, voice rising above the clamor, his staff glowing with an ethereal luminescence as he poured his will into it. Kale nodded, adding her own magic to Arin's, channeling the spirit of the forest into his staff. "We must trust in each other." The shadows the adversary wielded strained against their unity, twisting and turning with enmity. "You think you can return to a perceived balance?" it taunted, the voice eerily fragmented. "The world has moved beyond such illusions." "We reject that," Elda declared, defiance underscoring her words. "We believe in the harmony that lies within us and around us." Resolute, Arin focused the elemental torrent through the staff, unleashing a concentrated beam of light that pierced the gathered darkness. The sky itself seemed to brighten in response, the clouds rendered powerless by the awakening force of unity. The figure recoiled, its facade of invincibility cracking. "Impossible!" it hissed, struggling to maintain its hold over the imbalanced elements. In the momentary abyss of silence that followed, the air thick with anticipation, they felt the tenuous balance held within their hearts shift. Arin seized the opportunity, driving forward. Each step mirrored by the steadfast support of his friends, they confronted the shadow at its most vulnerable. It was then the valley shifted once more under the pressure of their resolve. The shadow figure disintegrated under the pure strength of their unity, fragments of its form scattering across Solstiria's landscape. The elemental tempest subsided, leaving an expectant stillness in its wake. Arin, Kale, and Elda stood panting and weary from the exertion, but triumphant. Triumph sang in their veins, resonating with gratitude and a deep sense of accomplishment. The valley, now bathed in harmonious light, reflected Solstiria's renewed composition, an equilibrium restored through perseverance and courage. The seasons flowed once more with intent, each transition fluid and graceful. But embedded within the silence was a poignant awareness. Though the immediate threat was vanquished, echoes of its influence lingered, a reminder that vigilance must accompany stewardship. "We actually did it," Kale said softly, awe lacing her words as she surveyed the vibrant return to balance. Arin exhaled, feeling the warmth of the newfound harmony wash over him. "Together we did, but our work isn't done yet." Elda nodded, embers still smoldering in her grasp but at peace. "You're right, we'll guide and protect however the seasons shift." With renewed purpose, the trio turned their gaze to the horizon, where promises of new beginnings beckoned, their roles as guardians affirmed. From the charred remnants of adversity, true growth ensued, the lesson of change within constancy, a testament to the strength of unity in the face of uncertainty. Together, they strode onward into an evolving Solstiria that awaited their care, ready to nurture the seedling of hope they had carefully planted in the heart of chaos. In the aftermath of their decisive battle, Arin, Kale, and Elda found themselves in a transformed Solstiria. The sky no longer churned with erratic storms, and the landscape, vibrant and flourishing, mirrored the balance rekindled by their unwavering unity. As they stood on a rolling hillside, watching the seasons blend in harmonious transition, a profound sense of serenity settled over them. Yet they knew this peace was hard-won and fragile. "Solstiria looks whole again," Elda said, her voice a soft ember against the tapestry of natural sounds filling the air. "Yes," Kale agreed, her connection to the land more profound than ever. "But there's still the matter of the aftermath. The echoes of division linger." Arin nodded thoughtfully, eyes fixed on the horizon where the sun cast golden rays across their world. "The journey has shown us that unity is not a singular achievement, but a continuous effort. It needs tending, like a living creature." Now, with their newfound purpose, the trio decided it was time to return to Embercrest, the seat of the seasonal order and the heart of their endeavors. There they intended to share their story, urge the revival of traditions lost to complacency, and establish protections against future threats. Their return to Embercrest was met with both awe and disbelief. The townspeople gathered in the square, eyes wide as the trio spoke of their trials and triumphs. Arin, though never one for speeches, found his voice steady as he recounted their quest. The imbalance we faced was not just an external threat, but a reflection of the divisions within ourselves and our world, he declared. By embracing our differences, we became stronger, capable of harnessing the true potential of unity. Among the listeners stood members of the seasonal order, their expressions a mix of solemnity and introspection. The elders, once rigid in their doctrine, were moved by the conviction and wisdom that radiated from these young adventurers. Your actions have proven this world's worth in guardianship anew, the head of the order acknowledged, their voice both gravely and hopeful. Let us work together to maintain this harmony, ensuring all elements have a voice and purpose. With those words, a collective effort was born. Coalitions of mages, warriors, and scholars formed to preserve the balance and heed the lessons learned. Initiatives sprouted. Education focused on the interconnectedness of the elements, fostering understanding and cooperation. As weeks passed, Arin, Kale, and Elda took on roles as mentors and guides in this burgeoning age, their insights shaping a future free from the shadows of their recent past. They planted seeds of unity across Solstiria, nourished by an unwavering belief in the balance they had fought to preserve. Yet amidst these undertakings, a lingering sense of unfinished chapters hovered, a promise of new challenges and beginnings still unseen. They knew they must remain vigilant, for the land's history had shown that change was constant, and their guardianship must evolve with it. Standing once more at the crossroads of seasons, Arin, Kale, and Elda shared a farewell, not with words, but with a moment of silent understanding. Their paths, though varied, would always converge when Solstiria called. And though their current journey neared its culmination, the essence of their adventure, the promise of harmony and the courage to achieve it, remained vibrant, echoing the cycle of the ever-shifting seasons. As the seasons danced seamlessly through Solstiria, a ripple of transformation swept across the land, its rhythm resonating with newfound unity. The story of Arin, Kale, and Elda spread beyond Embercrest, igniting a spirit of resilience throughout the kingdoms. The trio, once uncertain apprentices of the world, were now revered figures, their journey having sparked a renaissance of elemental understanding and collaboration. Yet, within the heart of Solstiria, there lingered a whisper of further mysteries, beckoning those who dared to listen. For Arin, the call was strongest in the quiet moments, those rare instances when the world seemed to pause just for him. It was during one such moment, while walking the familiar paths of the Enchanted Forest, that he felt the weight of potential resting upon him. Kale was at his side, her presence as comforting as the verdant life surrounding them. "Do you feel it too?" she asked softly, her connection to the land as profound as ever. Arin nodded, his eyes scanning the canopy above where light played through leaves like whispers of forgotten secrets. Change is constant, yet there's something more, new paths unfurling, possibilities we've yet to consider. Elda, joining them with a playful spark, said, "Sounds like you're restless for more adventure, and to think I was getting used to the peace and quiet." Her laughter was bright, a beacon against the introspection. Yet beneath the humor lay truth. They were not ones destined for complacency. Ever alert to the quiet voices of the world, they felt compelled to investigate the subtle shift, wondering whether it signaled new beginnings or unforeseen trials. Together they ventured deeper into the heartlands, relying on intuition rather than maps now committed to memory. As the forest gave way to rolling hills where the sky seemed endless, they arrived at a nexus of elemental convergence, a place where energies pulsed vibrant and alive. Here, under the open sky, the trio understood that their journey was a thread woven into the greater tapestry of existence, one where they were guardians, yes, but also adventurers of evolving reality. In the center of this nexus, an ancient monolith stood silent and knowing. Its surface was inscribed not only with the past but hints of the future, prophecies awaiting interpretation, stories waiting to be told. Arin placed his hand upon the stone, and beneath his touch a soft warmth radiated, binding him once more to the pulse of the land. It was a reminder of balance, a call to perpetuate the harmony they had dared to restore. "I think this is our next task," Kale said, her voice resolute and serene. "Not to seek, but to nurture the seeds of unity across the realms." Elda nodded, her eyes reflecting the flames of potential. "True guardianship is a journey without end, isn't it? An endless adventure." With each agreement shared, Arin smiled, feeling the completeness of this moment, an intertwining of past, present, and the yet to come. Here, where the elements converged, he understood that their journey was not bound by destinations, but by the continuity of purpose. For Solstiria remained a land of mysteries and wonders, its heartlands pulsating with life and the promise of renewal. And as the seasons continued to shift, so too did the guardians of its future, ever watchful, ever ready to step forward when the world called upon them once more. In the gentle winds carrying seeds of possibility, Arin, Kale, and Elda turned toward the horizon, toward whatever might bring the next chapter in their shared story, a testament that harmony was a cycle, a legacy of hope in the ever-unfolding tapestry of the shifting seasons.